Des Moines, aka I love her and I hate the Midwest. There are many reasons why I would not want to drive solo across the United States, and number one on the list is safety. It's a 2,500-mile drive from Boise, Idaho to Raleigh, North Carolina, and our longest day was Tuesday when we set out for a little 1,234-mile trek from Twin Falls, Idaho to Des Moines, Iowa. It takes roughly 18 hours to drive 1,234 miles, and sitting behind the wheel for that length of time is an absolute invitation to a collision. But breaking the drive up into 4 roughly equal segments with 2 drivers makes for a far safer, saner, and much less insidious journey. For our Tuesday, September 12th mega drive, son Sean and I followed the classic A-B-A-B pattern, with me doing the A's and Sean tackling the B's. Other than a 5-year span from my late teens to very early 20s, I've been an early riser, and the older I get, the more ingrained it is for me to be up way before dawn. Driving east out of Twin Falls, Idaho, I was ecstatically mesmerized by the appearance of the thinnest of a crescent moon accompanied by a brilliant Jupiter hovering just above the mountains as we set out around 5:30 Tuesday morning. Night Owl Sean managed to stay awake for the first hour or so of our drive, but with 9 hours of driving staring him in the face, I encouraged him to sleep, and he was happy to oblige after first setting our sound system to a reading of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, so I would have a pleasant but not too distracting background noise to fill our soundscape as I headed due east on I-84 before slipping down southeast to Logan, Utah, and then east on I-80 along the southern part of Wyoming. Though both my children were born in Georgia, we moved to Cedar Rapids, Iowa the summer before Sean started kindergarten, and my wife, Sean, and I lived there from 1998 until 2015, while Kevin, our elder son, stayed in Iowa, though he moved 120 miles west to the state capital of Des Moines with his wife Katie a decade ago. When I was a child, my family trekked across the USA by car, visiting state after state and traveling as far west as Reno, Nevada, south to Tampa, Florida, north to Montreal, Canada, and east to Albany, New York, to name a few of our Compass Point travels. My wife and I likewise would travel with our children, going as far north as Alaska, west to Las Vegas, Nevada, east to Providence, Rhode Island, and south to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. And one of the things that baffled we 4 kennels was how many Iowans we knew who had never been outside of Iowa. We 4 found this stay-at-home tendency among Iowans absolutely mind-boggling. And while all 4 of us enjoyed going to places far and wide, Sean is the most adventurous of our 4. Sean wanted out of Iowa, and after an aborted hitchhiking trip from Cedar Rapids to Argentina's Tierra del Fuego in 2014, summer of 2015, he and his fellow hitchhiking friend Colin sailed a leaky boat from Duluth, Minnesota, east across Lake Superior, through the Straits of Mackinac, south down Lake Michigan to Chicago, Illinois, southwest from Chicago to the Mississippi River, and then down to New Orleans. He takes after his mother, my great goddess Durga. I'm only slightly adventurous. Heading east towards Nebraska, the western edge of the USA's Midwest, Sean would occasionally utter, "God, I hate the Midwest," a sentiment I most definitely do not share, and one that comes at a great cost for him is Rachel Lynn, the girl-grown to woman whom he has loved and adored since they began dating back in their junior year at Cedar Rapids JFK High School, refuses to move out of Iowa, but who has, like our elder son, conveniently moved from Cedar Rapids to Des Moines. As I drove east across western Wyoming, Sean fluctuated between reaching out to his amore and letting sleeping dogs lie. But before we switched drivers, he sent a text to Rachel and then fretted. "What if she doesn't text back?" he lamented. "What if she does?" he enthused. A truly classic advance-avoid dilemma for him, with an outcome outside of his control and with ramifications that were seemingly endless. It was hours later when Rachel sent him a return text, and Sean was now literally in the driver's seat. Even though we were driving on nearly deserted highways, I forbade him from reading her text while driving, though I did volunteer to read such text to him, an offer he emphatically declined. Sean's car gets nearly 36 miles per gallon on the highway, and we'd filled her up when we'd switch drivers around 11 a.m., which meant we'd be switching back around 3:30 when we'd have to again fill his tank. I'd pumped the gas before we left, but it was Sean's turn to fill her up. Plus, my 60-year-old bladder was rather insistent concerning what I had to prioritize. Finished with emptying me, I found him grinning widely as I approached the car, and he held up his phone and said, "She got back to me. I'm going to see her tonight," his voice mirroring his grin. "That's great. It really is," I replied before adding, "I'm going to assume you weren't on your phone while pumping gas, because we both know that's a fire hazard. I got you a Red Bull. Thanks. I'm going to hit the bathroom, then we can go." "Roger that. You go ahead. I'll move the car," giving voice to my strong sentiment concerning folk who leave their cars blocking the pump when they finish filling up. Sean smiled, nodded, handed me his keys, and I civilly moved his Civic. Back on the highway, Sean and Rachel exchanged a few texts. He slept some. I narrowly missed getting a speeding ticket in western Nebraska. Officer Raven gave me a written warning. We grabbed a quick fast food dinner, and Sean drove us across Nebraska and western Iowa, declaring at least twice more how much he hates the Midwest. I fell asleep but woke up just before midnight in Des Moines, a few miles west of Kevin, Katie, and Grandone John's house. Sean parked on the street. I used the keypad to let us in, and Kevin roused himself from the couch to greet us, show Sean the basement bed while I got the upstairs spare bedroom, and we three slipped into slumber. Sean's and my longest day's drive behind us.